glad you're here, and let me tell you something I wrestled with. And that is one of the things I'm looking for feedback from you on what you want. If you want updates on what's going on and some of the inside information and what's starting to seep out there and some of the news, not major news, then I can give you those updates and what I know from the background and perspectives. If you don't, then I won't do that anymore. So I don't know without your feedback. I did this, and I prepared this yesterday. It's all summarized and bulleted, catching up on the real story and the comparative story. But I ended up going, okay, and then I went, okay, all right, and then I went, all right, so you've got enough stuff. If you're interested in that, let me know. So what I decided to do was to go back and give you some things TKM related, and this depends on, so let's prep it like this. If you have taken some basic classes of TKM, at least level 1 and 2, then you're going to understand most of this that we're talking about and referring to. If you haven't, then hopefully you'll glean from this, and it may inspire you to go further and learn some more, which is very, very important. So the first thing I want to do is go back to a question that we had, not the last time, but before that. This is Davey that was asking about the questions on how batteries and electrical interferes with you. So let me give you another example of that. So here's a clock, right? I was going to do a watch, but I just grabbed this about 3 minutes ago. And there's a little bitty battery. So here is a stronger battery. Let's go ahead and get a double of that are even stronger. No names to go with, right? And let's see what's happening with these dormant batteries. All right? But if you hook that to a device, a little bitty device that is doing something like click, you hear it? Now, you hear that and watch it. And that's what it does to you. It is, if you'll hear that thing, it is slamming it over to the edge. So let me back that up and put it at a 0 to 100 range and see if we can find out how far it's bouncing up. So that looks to me, it's going anywhere from 10 to 15. Is that what you're seeing? Now, I have done this in classes before, is to have a number of gadgets, if they don't in the class have gadgets, of things that people use. And if I had more time and more testing to get this done, I would. So here's a couple of them that's supposed to protect you from EMFs. So what I want to do is let's see how it does. We already said how this is regulating up there. Now, we're going to put one of these. It should work just like that, just in the vicinity like they say. But I guess I would have to kind of hold that there, put it on the bracelet so that it's actually in between. Is it making a difference? No. So let's use another one. This one. Not naming any names and stuff. Oh, this is going to protect you. Let's see. Is it? I don't even have to do the comparison because you're not seeing a difference in the meter. So some of those things cost a whole lot of money for a placebo. I suggest not getting into that. We've talked about how labels, I got a lot of labels here, how they affect you. And also, I don't know if you've seen this one, Do you know how they do that? That's my finger. That's a quarter. That was electromagnetic pollution rectifiers that actually made it that small. There's a process that they go through to do it, but what did they use? Electromagnetic. All right, so some tidbit information there for you. Now, I want to get into some other things. I have this up here as a reminder. You remember the last time we talked about attitudes? So I want to give you some correlations here. I emphasized on that mediator sequence. Now part of this is for people that don't know what that is, and I don't have a free mediator sequence online to point you to go and download that. So what we do have on there is a median sequence. You can go to the top tab, the resources. You have drop down, and what you want to find is, I believe that's under print media, and then free, let's just call it free stuff. And you'll have a PDF for median. Print that out and do that in place of mediator. Doesn't do the same thing, but it will help the attitudes. Let me give you another one, what we call high 19 and opposite high 1. So the high 19 is where the deltoid muscle comes and attaches in, and you place your fingers there right on the back. So I'm turning this around so you can see it, but it's on the back side of the arm, not the front side. So what you do is you reach back there and hold that with your finger pads, and you put the thumb on the front side. So you're holding front and back high 19s. You take your other hand and you place it on high 1. Where's the high 1? Upper inside of the thigh. Now this doesn't look that comfortable, but if I sit down, it's very easy and comfortable, right? So you can relax and prop it there. There's no strain, there's no reaching. That helps mediator. That helps attitudes. And it helps many, many other things. I want to give you another one. This is a direct correlation that's actually in the textbooks of a finger or digit way to help mediator energy. Because mediator energy, there's three main ones. There's the median, and from that is the supervisor, and 23 of the 26 energy spheres are on that. And then from the threes is the mediator energy, which goes into the limbs. It's a pathway. And 3 of the 26 are on that. 3 of the 26 energy spheres, points. So how do you help that system? You can hold the little finger on one hand and the thumb on the other hand. So there's different ways that you can do that. I mean, I could do it like this, or I could hold it like this, and where's my thumb? It's right there. So I just kind of wrap my fingers around it, and I'm holding little finger on one hand and thumb on the other hand, and that is a way to help mediator energy in the whole body, and a very simple thing. I mean, goodness, it's not exactly like, but you could sit around with people and they wouldn't have a clue what you're doing. You're helping yourself. Here's another one. 19 and opposite 1. So we did high 1 and high 19. This is 19, which is right there at your elbow. It's not on this side of it, it's on that side of the joint, on top of that muscle. Just put your fingers on that muscle and put your other finger pads on the inside of your knee at that protruding bone at your 1. And that helps mediator energy. Also helps digestion, helps your elbow, helps all types of things. A long list. But I want to give you one more. This is also not only for a mediator help, but it's for your lymphatic system. It helps calm stress, physical, mental, emotional stress. It helps calm chaos. So what it is you're holding the 26. Now the way I do that is I'll separate my thumb and then I'll put that up in here to where my fingers are on the back side and my thumb is on the front side. And I just close my hand and my finger pads will be right there at the 26. And then what you want to do is you hold, so that's my left 26, and then I want to hold my right 24. The right 24 is on your foot. So here I am, sticking my foot up here. It's between your little toe and your fourth toe. Not, you come up above the webbing onto the foot, and if you'll slide up feeling in between those two toes, you'll feel the ligament that crosses over it from one to the other. When you get to that, that's your 24. It will probably be tender. So hold that, which you can do very comfortably. I'm doing this, I'm holding this. That helps. It's one aspect of the 24-26 sequence. It helps your lymphatic, it calms chaos, calms the body, physically, mentally, emotionally. And if this doesn't do enough for you, I can feel the pulses there in that one now, so it probably needs a little help. Then, when you get done, you can do the other side as well. So those are some primary things that I wanted to share with you based on what I talked about last time and correlation to stress, mediator, attitudes, all that kind of stuff. Now, I want to go a little further. I just did this morning. I thought, let me share something that I hadn't even shared. I haven't even been teaching in the classes because there's lots and lots of stuff that I have not had the time to get into the books, not what I considered a priority. So let's talk about stratum levels. I think you can see that up there fine. So you know the categories. We got 144,000 functions in the body, unequally divided up into 5 different categories, or what we call stratums. And we look at this in pulses. So let me just draw this fun little guy up here. And we look at these in categories as well. They're divided up into chest level, waist level, hip level. Now, the ones who know TKM, you know that this is 13, 14, 15, and this is 10, 9, and 2. And what do they relate to? All of this is the emotional level. All of this is the mental level. And my mental forgot how to write mental. And all of this is the physical level, all the way across. What I'm going to give you is more. There's a page in the book, a couple of them, that talks about surface, middle, and deep. Well, this is what it's referring to. Surface, middle, and deep. Not to be confused with the pulses that we talk about, like surface pulses and deep pulses. That's why I've changed the terminology on any time any handouts or anything comes up related to that, and change the books when they reprint, changing it to chest, waist, and hip, because this surface and deep could get confused with surface and deep pulses. It's strictly talking about surface is chest, middle is waist, and deep is hip. So that's what I'm going to give you some information on. Chest level. Now you see that there are other things correlated there. For instance, let me again show you the 3 things, how we have, when we're checking pulses, to find out how these guys are functioning, we have 5, 3, 4, 2, 1, 6. And we have organ energy in each one of those. Now they correlate the same over here. This is the emotional level, this is the mental level, and this is the physical level. Got it? And you see 2nd and 5th stratum in the emotional level. I'm going to give you another correlation. It's kind of like when you're looking at fingers and you see that the thumb relates to 1st stratum, and holding the thumb will help everything in 1st stratum. The energy spheres in 1st stratum are 1, 2, 3, and 4. But then when you look, let me give you an example on the stratum. Let's go over to the ring finger. That's 2nd stratum. And it has 10 energy spheres related to it from a stratum perspective. But if you look at the digit related to energy spheres, it's only got 5. And they're not all of 2nd stratum. Each one of these has 5. and the other one is the palm of the hand. So it's a different perspective of how to help different things. That's what I'm about to explain. So the additional information for chest level is it also works with ectoderm. What do you mean ectoderm? Ectoderm is the outermost layer of cells or tissue of an embryo in early development. What does that matter? Or it's the parts derived from this. So that is what develops into your epidermis and your nerve tissue, so your nervous system, and eyes and ears. It's kind of like when we're testing with frequencies, there are certain things that we test in there that are named under like mesenchyme, and those are related to all the tissues of the body. The mesenchyme tissue is from embryo. Well, you know, how big are you at conception? You're a cell, but all the communication is there. Everything is going to start. It's all there already. All right, so the point being is that chest level relates to ectoderm. Ectoderm. I have limited time here, so please excuse my quick scratching. And with that, that has a first stratum and second stratum correlation because of the things that I just mentioned. What do we have for waist level? We have, I'm just going to write across this. Is that okay? We have endoderm. Now this is for explaining because this is for humans. I know if we got some vets and different ones, they're going to say, oh, that's for animal. This same terminology is for animals and humans because it's the science perspective. It's not the biblical, it's not the TKM perspective. It's just like science calls us that we have mammalian cells. I don't go for mammalian cells, and I'm not a Homo sapien, okay? But these are the scientific terms so that we can make some correlations to what is also believed with other functions without bringing in and believing the philosophy, okay? So endoderm is the innermost layer of cells or tissue of an embryo in early development, or the parts derived from this, just like each one is, which includes the lining of the gut and associated structures like the colon, stomach, intestines, lungs, liver, and pancreas. The ectoderm, on the other hand, eventually forms certain outer layers of the body, including epidermis, the largest organ that you've got, and hair. And what do we have related to that? Third and sixth stratum. Third and sixth stratum. If you can see that, let me erase a little bit more here, because you already know what those are. Third and sixth stratum. Now, since you know what these are, I'm going to make another space. For the hip level and all the correlations with that, we have the mesoderm. Mesoderm. Mesoderm, again, is the middle layer of the embryo. The middle layer in early development. Cells derived from the mesoderm, which lies between the endoderm and the ectoderm, give rise to all other tissues of the body, including the dermis. So we had epidermis, now we're talking about dermis of the skin, the heart, the muscle system. I mean, goodness, you know, we're mostly fluid, and then what do you have a lot left of? Muscles. The urogenital system, the bones and the bone marrow, therefore, blood. So for those that study TKM, that should lighten up a whole lot of things in your thoughts. And what does that relate to? Oh, I made a mistake. I apologize. That's what happens when you try to rush through something. And you've been talking to yourself in a room. So that third and sixth stratum, actually belongs down here. My apologies. That is fifth and fourth stratum. No contradictions, these are all inclusions. Again, as I mentioned, these terms are used for humans and animal as science sees us as Homo sapiens. The binomial name for Homo sapiens was coined by, how do you say this guy's name? I think Linus, I want to say Linus, Linnaeus. That's back in 1758 when people start coming up with stuff. Well, I see it this way. Well, I see it that way. It's like evolution didn't even come to be until the next century. But now it swept the world in science, and now we don't even say, you know, BC and AD, we say BCE and ADE, but other than that explanation, you'll never catch me saying it, because all of that is all about Antichrist. It's all trying to take Christ out of the picture. So, the Latin noun homo, genitive hominis, my Latin is not that great, genitive hominis means human being. So the first word homo means human being, while the participle sapiens means discerning, wise, sensible. When was that? Maybe back in 1758. Okay. So, I wanted to share that. I might pass on this. I'll just give you a hint. What this was the facts and data from the people that are presenting the facts and data now, like the CDC, the WHO, on Ebola, on the Wuhan virus, on the Spanish flu, on other things related to vaccines, the regular flu, the death rates of these, the hospitalization, HIV, which documented back in 1981, the rotavirus killed 440,000 children, the Zika virus, which was another one that was actually, that infected up to 1 billion people, 1.4 billion people, but the death rate was similar to what they're saying to one is now, which is 0.02. But that data for the current one is so skewed. You've heard me talk about that before, and you can get that facts from the true data people as long as you don't listen to mainstream media. I also listed about the Asian flu, the bird flu, the H1N1, the H5N1, and all of these different things, and the latest 2020 updates. And the purpose for this was to give you the facts that are printed, the ones historically to compare with, and the ones that are proposed for 2020, what we have so far, compared to what the same organizations are saying going on right now, and look at all the discrepancies and contradictions. So I had a couple of pages on that for you to draw your own conclusions, which a lot of people are being swatted down for doing that. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, please ask. Matter of fact, you want to share some more information? Let's share some more information about TKM. When your eyeballs are curled up or down, it's bladder. Bladder is what you do for that. Now, for severe, when you only see or mostly see white in the eyes because they're so focused one way or the other, that's serious bladder. Now, up is more serious. Let's say pointed towards your 20s, where bladder begins. Very, very important. Now, know that a variety of other pathways go through, but this is the one that's governing that. Tears are in the 9s and 10s. So a person tearing, it's fluid. So that is a fourth stratum relation. So what governs that is bladder. When you work that sequence and you're having problems with tears, like there's people that don't tear, they cry, but they can't tear. And then there's other people that they're not crying, but they're always tearing. The same thing with bladder, but you work the bladder sequence differently. You work it close to the spine, right next to the spinous process. So instead of out there, like if you're going at the upper part of the spine between the scapula and the spine, you're going midway, and that's typically like where your 9s and 10s are. But when you're doing this for this purpose, then you're working over next to the spinous process, the bony part of the spine. So if you have lack of or too much, that is very important to do. And I have tons of other notes, but I also see that I don't have tons of time. So I enjoy this. I love speaking with you guys, even though you're not here, but I get to see some of your email responses. And I know that I looked on the stats later, and it was something like 58 people on last time. So it seems to be growing and spreading. It's always in different areas, so people come and go. What I want to do is not just spend this time, I want to help you and stay connected in what we can do. So I really would like your feedback of what you like and what you also like to hear. Maybe we're not hearing, or maybe you want to hear more of it. So until we see you again next Tuesday, God bless, be happy, have a great, wonderful attitude, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.